Hey guys, it's carvalance. Welcome back to another scary stories video.
Okay, so my first real job was working over at Lynn Gear Company, and my boss was a guy named Jonathan, and he was telling me about an incident that happened with him and one of his girlfriends back when they were, dating a couple of years prior. Jonathan was very much an outdoorsman, and he loved being in the outdoors. It was the only place that he really truly felt comfortable.
Way too bright.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he sometimes had a little trouble with girlfriends because, he loved to be out in the woods a lot, and a lot of girls were really, really girly, and they didn't want to go out to the woods. But this particular woman, she was really into it too. She loved to go out in nature and hike around. In fact, they ended up working out so well they got married eventually. But one of the times they went out, it was after dark, and he liked to go out in the woods and just sometimes sit and look at the stars and, whatever else that couples do when they go out in the woods. Well, this one particular night, they went out to McDowell Creek, which is just a little bit northeast of Lebanon. And
Oregon.
they drove in a car, and they got out to this big clear cut. They parked at a landing at the top of the clear cut, and then they walked about 100 yards down to the very edge of the clear cut, and they were sitting on a big log just waiting, watching the stars, talking, just enjoying it, enjoying being out there in the woods. And off in the distance, towards the bottom of the clear cut, probably 300 or 400 yards down there, they heard something kind of crashing through the brush. And it's not uncommon after dark for there to be deer and elk and bears or, whatever, just moving through the woods. All you got to do is just be quiet and listen. And that's what they thought it was. But after a while, this crashing around and beating through the brush, they started to realize it was coming up towards them. And so they got real quiet and they listened for a little bit, and they're trying to figure out what it is. And she's asking him, is that a deer? Is that an elk? He said, well, if it's anything, it's probably a bear. It's by itself, and bears are a little braver than deer are. So they sat and they listened for a while longer, and it just kept getting closer and closer. And so finally, he gets down off the stump and he feels around on the ground until he can find a big stone, and he tosses the first stone, tosses a few more, and this thing's still coming. And he finally turns and he tells his girlfriend that, I don't think that's an animal, because animals won't keep coming on like that. That's got to be a person. And at first she thought he was joking, but then he started hollering out. It's like, hey, who's down there? And the noise would stop, and then it'd start up again, and it'd get a little closer, and he'd yell a couple of more times, and the same thing. It'd just stop, and then it'd start coming again. And so he told his girlfriend, well, I'm going to stay here because I want to figure out who this person is. And she first tells him, I don't think that's a good idea. And then when the thing gets even closer, she's starting to kind of freak out a little bit. And it's like, I don't want to be here. I want to go somewhere else. I don't want to be here. And he's all, don't worry about it. If it's a person, you can handle it. And she was getting to the point of being fairly high-strung over it, and he didn't want to go because he really wanted to see who this was. And when it was probably about 30 or 40 yards away, he undid the little snap that was on his pistol in the holster, so that if it turned out to be something real bad, he'd be able to handle it. Well, As soon as he undid that and his girlfriend knew what he did, she really started flipping out. Just, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. We have to go. We got to leave. And so he finally just like, okay, she's freaking out. Maybe it's time to go. So they hoof it on up to the car, get in the car, and the whole ride home, she was kind of messed up because it really scared her, and he started thinking about it, that, that really was pretty creepy. So he comes home, drops her off, goes on to his place, goes to bed, and a couple nights later, he's hanging out with my brother-in-law, which was his best friend, and he tells him what happened. So they decide they want to get to the bottom of it and figure out what's going on. So the next weekend when they're both off work, they get all camoed up in their hunting gear, and they go back to the same clear cut, and a couple hours before dark, they park about a half mile back from it, and they go sneaking in, and they get on the very edge of the clear cut, and they're sitting there watching with binoculars, looking to see if anything comes in. And right on the very edge of dark, they see this guy step out into the edge of a clear cut, had no clue that they were there. And he said he was just this really just kind of scuzzy, creepy looking guy, just wearing some old battered clothes and a red flannel shirt, and something about him just wasn't right. And so they went ahead and they got out of there, and a few days later they drove out the road systems a little bit trying to figure out where that guy came from, and turns out there were some houses about a half a mile away down through the woods. If you take the right roads, you could make it down into there. And so he said after he found that guy and knew where he came from, he realized that if his girlfriend hadn't have been freaking out, somebody might have got shot that night. That's it.
Cool. It's pretty good.
Alright,
That
I'm
guy
gonna
was
creepy.
probably a drug